Hey everybody, Doug Rucker here with DougRuckerSchool.com and DougRuckerStore.com. Hey, I get a lot of questions about what unit should I start out with. Is a 2.3, 2.7 gallon per minute, 3 gallon per minute machine good to start out with? My answer is always no. I would never start out with something like that, but you can. My recommendation is a little 4 gallon per minute belt drive Mad Max machine like this, or any brand, doesn't have to be this brand, but 4 gallon per minute is what I recommend as the minimum to start your business with. So today we're going to be unboxing and setting up a 4 gallon per minute machine. Going to go through it from the box to getting it ready to use. So stay tuned for that. Okay guys, this is the 4 gallon per minute Mad Max 3500 PSI pressure washer. This is a great little unit. I ordered this just to have for my school to do trainings with, so guys that come to the school can see how 4 gallon per minute works versus the 5 gallon per minutes that we already have, the 8 gallon per minute. So anytime people come to my school, I like to give them a variety of options. Hopefully they haven't bought their equipment yet when they come here. This way they can see the equipment that I use on a daily basis and kind of help them to make their decisions as to what they want to go with when they start out. But this 4 gallon per minute 3500 PSI is a great little machine that I always suggest, guys, especially on a limited budget. Let this be kind of the minimum that you start out with. Just a way better option than going to Home Depot or Lowe's and purchasing, you know, a 2 gallon per minute or 3 gallon per minute machine. This is going to cost you a little bit more money than those machines, but it's going to last you way longer, and you're going to end up spending way less money as an end user from repair cost and things just not working right with those basically homeowner type models. This is an industrial professional grade model, and so I ordered it with the hose reel mount. So we've got the hose reel there. We'll get into the box and what's in the box in just a second, and then eventually I'm also going to show, either on this video or maybe another video, actually hooking it up to a little 40 or 50 gallon buffer tank, if that's what you so desire. You can also, since this is portable and it's got wheels, it can be easily rolled in and out of a pickup truck or a van. So a few kind of options here, especially for guys that are just starting a business. This is the type of machine that I used when I first started 30-something years ago, and had a pickup truck that I rolled it in and out of. I also had a van once. So just a lot of options for you to get your business going. And then, I mean, this is going to last you quite a few years. So at the end of year 1 or end of year 2, whichever that is, that you want to start upgrading to 5 or 8 gallon per minute machines, you can certainly do that. And then always have this as a backup or another machine on the job, either way. So what I'm going to do now is, in the next segment here, we'll get into what comes with everything, or the options that you can choose to get with this machine. Okay guys, so inside the box, along with the pressure washer, you have what's called an accessory kit. And so that comes with a gun, and then you've got a wand and this is, I believe, a chrome plated wand, but it comes with the gun. You've got your coupler and your plug to set up your gun. The one thing that I think you're going to need with this is the 1/4 inch fitting that you would put on at the end here for your, actually no you don't, there's the 1/4 inch fitting right there for the end of the wand. And so this is designed so that you just screw the gun right into the wand itself. And then this 3/8 plug fitting would go at the bottom here, the only difference is I don't use this fitting on my gun, so I would swap this out with a coupler, but that's really a personal preference thing. So you would basically set this gun up like this. Of course, you want to thread, you want to use sealant and thread tape for all your connections. And then your 1/4 inch fitting would go here. And then that's where you would put on your nozzles. So they come with a white, green, yellow, red, and black nozzle. And so that's where those would go. You could also buy separately a J-rod setup for downstreaming. But this is basically how the gun and the wand is all going to be set up. Again, you want to use thread tape, Teflon tape around any type of threaded fitting. And also a little Loctite or lock seal is what we use. And get these on nice and snug so you don't have any leaks. And that's what your gun would look like. But again, where the plug is here, I prefer to have the coupler there, the quick connect, so that my gun would have this fitting, or the hose would have this fitting coming in here. And I'm going to show that in another video, because I'm going to show how all this gets set up and put together. But that's what it comes with. And then your 4 color nozzles. You have a 40 degree, which is the white. You have a 25 degree, which is the yellow. You got a 15 degree, which is the green. The red tip is a 0. A lot of people say to throw that away. I don't believe in that. I believe it can come in handy at times if you use it properly. So don't throw it away, hold on to it. At the very least, you can actually take a real small drill bit and drill that a little bit larger, and you'll have a nice shooter tip. But I don't do that. I always save the red tips, because you just never know when they can come in handy. And then you've got the black tip, which is your chemical tip, which is used for downstreaming your bleach mix onto surfaces. These tips are the main 2 that I use, the red and the yellow. I mean the green and the yellow. The other 3, and also the black tip. But when I'm using a 4 gallon per minute machine like this, I'm actually using one of our J-rods. I'm looking for one here over on my workbench like this. So I've got my shooter tips and my spray tips and rinse tips, chemical tips, everything on one, so that I can shoot 2 stories, 3 stories, things like that. And then we've also got, if you wanted to on your J-rod, you could put one of our new slingshot shooter tips in there. And again, I'll show you the J-rod setup a little bit later. The other thing that you get is if you elect to get the hose reel mount, you'll get the 100-foot hose, you get the hose reel, all the hardware that you need to connect all that. And again, I'm going to show that. Here's the little whip hose for the hose reel. And then this is the handle that will go on to the pressure washer, so that you can make it portable and carry it around. So that's what you get in the box. These are kind of options that you can choose: a hose reel and the accessory kit. You've got your manuals here, spark plug wrench. That's basically everything it comes with. So we'll get into actually assembling the unit coming up next. Okay guys, when we're putting the handle on in order to make this cart portable, you've got 4 of these little nuts and bolts, 2 on each side. They're 7/16 lock nuts, and so that's what we're going to use to brace it. The one thing I want to talk about is this one back here kind of comes out to the reel, to the wheel, and it comes out and hits it. And so I get it to where it stays in there, but it's just kind of right against the reel, the wheel. The other ones, you know, you can take out, you've got plenty of room, but that one does kind of hit that wheel. And so all you want to do is take your little pull frame, slide it in there, and then I like to get this one going first because it's the hardest one to get because of that wheel. I'm trying to remember the difference between wheel and wheel, but let's see if we can find the hole. That's the biggest thing. You have to kind of be patient and just kind of work with it. Sometimes it's good to get this one started over here and then start getting them lined up. Bottom of it. So got that one in, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this one in. What you have to do is kind of play with it from the bottom to get the hole lined up. So that one goes through, and then we'll get the other one through, which is the last one. Okay, now what you have are your 4 washers, and you've got 4 lock nuts, plastic. So we're going to get all those threaded on and then tighten them all at one time. So you got 2 of them on this side in. Let's get the 2 on the other side. I'm wanting to do this in real time so that you guys can see exactly what goes on when you do it. Okay, there's the other one up here. Excuse me. All right, so now we get the last one on, and then I'm just going to take my nut driver here, 7/16 nut driver, and start tightening all these up. I hope y'all are still seeing good. Let's move that over a little bit. So I'm going to go underneath, tighten them all down. So once you get them all tightened down, then you'll have your pull cart all set. Okay guys, one of the things that's easier to do is get you a socket, 7/16 socket with an extender on it. And you see this little part of the frame kind of gets in the way if you don't have the extender, but just put your socket on there, tighten these up, it'll be a lot easier. I don't have any oil or gas or anything in here, so that's why I'm bending it up. As soon as I get it tightened down, I'm going to set it down for a second, and then I'll switch to the other side and do the same thing. A lot easier that way. Okay, these are all snug and the cart is ready to be portable. Now I'm going to begin the process of starting to set up the hose reel and the hose reel plumbing. What's going to happen is you get a whip hose like this. One end doesn't have anything on it. The other end has a 90, and it actually has a plug which is going to go into the coupler here on the machine, and then this part is going to go up here to the hose reel and screw into that. And then you've got your, in this case I've got a 100-foot hose which will hook up to the swivel here and come through this little hole, and that's how you wind it up. But the first thing that I'm going to do, because I'm a little bit different than most people, I was taught early on that your plug fitting points the way of the water flow. And so a lot of times these machines come from manufacturers and they have a coupler here, and that's okay. It's really comes down to a personal preference thing. I was just always taught plug points the way of the water flow. So I'm going to actually switch these two fittings, and what would happen is I would take this one off and I would simply put my plug here, and I'll eventually tape this up with Teflon and a little Loctite on it, and then put the coupler on the whip hose. And so now I'm just reversing the fittings is all I'm doing. The reason I'm doing this is because in our company, Clean and Green Solutions, all of our fittings are set up where the plug points the way of the water. So if I've got a downstream injector like this, and we all know that there's a little arrow right here that points the way of the water, so that when you've got your little tube and your bleach mix comes up through here, that arrow is pointing that direction, and that's going to send it down to your hose reel. So we just always know every time that we set up a downstream injector, whatever the arrow is pointing, that's the water flow. So we're going to use a coupler on that end. The other side, we're going to use the plug here, and the other side is going to get the coupler. So that's how we set it up. A lot of guys like having it opposite. That's okay. You would just have the coupler on the other side where I have the plug, because that's the direction of the water flow. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is get these fittings resituated, and then this hose would actually go into the bottom of the hose reel. And what I'm going to do is actually screw this into here with it loose, because this is not a swivel end. So I want to get this on here good and tight, and then this will just plug into right here. So, okay guys, so real quick I'll show you. I'm going to wrap my fittings here with the Teflon tape. I use this yellow gas tape from Lowe's, Home Depot. Just holds much better. So wrap it a couple of times with a little Teflon tape. Then I'm just going to put a little dab of the lock seal that we sell and that we use, and using my vise, put my fitting right in there. And I'll screw in my coupler here, get my wrench, tighten this down good and snug. It doesn't have to be super tight, but just kind of get it to, where it's just nice and snug, not putting a whole lot of pressure to it. All it needs. And then I'll move the camera. Well, first let me get my fitting, and I'll tape the plug fitting up. Sorry if this is boring you guys. Hey, by the way, if y'all are getting some enjoying this or getting some value out of this video, make sure you hit subscribe and then hit that little bell so that you get notifications every time I come out with a video. And like I always say, give me a like, but most importantly, leave me a comment or a question if there's anything I can answer for you. I try to always answer all responses, whether it's just saying thank you for the video, asking a question, anything like that. Try to help you out as much as I possibly can. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and give me a like and a comment. Appreciate it. Okay guys, so now I'm going to put the plug into the pressure washer here off the unloader and tighten it up with my hand. And then what I'm going to do is use another wrench here, and because I'm going to be tightening this fitting this way, when it goes and starts snugging up, you could end up moving the unloader. So I always put a wrench on that, just to kind of hold it in place and tighten her down and get her nice and snug. Be careful loosening and untightening these things. You got some metal around. You don't want to bust your knuckle up against that stupid piece of metal. Been there, done that. Okay, so now that's pretty much set, and I'll show you how I'm going to set the hose reel up. So now I'm going to put the little whip hose in to the hose reel. It goes down at the bottom here, And I've already Teflon taped it, put a little lock seal on it. I'm just going to spin it in there. And then once it gets nice and snug, I'm actually going to grab my open-ended wrench, wrong size. Find my, here we go. This requires, if I remember correctly, 11/16. And so I'm just going to, again, take it and snug it down. So, just snug it down. And there you go. And so now she's ready to go onto the plate, which I'll come back and show you that in just a second. Okay, so this is how the hose reel is going to sit on the machine. There's, as I mentioned before, there's 4 holes here. There's 2 different sets of screws or nuts and bolts that come with this. And as I think I mentioned before, this plate that you don't have to use it. I'm actually going to use this plate underneath here just to give it a little bit more stability, because what I am doing, instead of using these small little screws that come with the packet, they actually fit down into these little holes, and that would hold the hose reel. But you also get these. And so I'm actually going to drill my holes out a little bit bigger and use these bigger ones, use that bottom plate, and that'll just make it quite a bit more stable. So I'm just taking my drill bit and I'm just going to drill this out. Okay guys, when you're mounting the base plate, a real easy way to do this is with an impact and an extension. You're going to use a 17mm socket, short socket on top, and then I'm going to use a deep well socket on the bottom. There you go. That's simple. So if you got the right tools, everything is a lot easier. This is actually, it's a great job to have 2 people with you, you and another person, just even to kind of hold things, line things up or whatever. One person can do it. I've been doing this by myself, but it is so much nicer to have 2 people. So coming up next, we'll get to the hose and some other things to finish off. Okay guys, next what I've already done, the machine and the pump comes with what's called a travel plug or travel fitting for the pump. And so I've already taken that out, and I've drained the oil that it comes with. You can use that if you want to. It's just non-detergent oil. I use these high performance oils that I've talked about before. So I've already replaced the pump oil with the Compressor Life 100. Great oil for pumps. It's actually better than the SAE 30 or non-detergent oil. And then I also have their engine oil that I'll be putting in next. But what I want to do is take this out and put the dipstick that it comes with into the pump. And so screw that down, and then I'll pull it back out just to make sure the level is correct. Usually there's a sight glass on these machines that you can see, and there is a sight glass on it, and I can barely see it with a good light. It's on the back of the pump, and so if I get in an angle over this way, I can look down that direction and see the sight glass. And you always want that sight glass on your pump oil. You want that oil to be midway, but it's right down there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but normally they have those things where you can see them, but because I've got or for some reason when they built this, they did not put the sight glass where you can see it. But if you've got a flashlight or whatever, you can see, and I can tell that the oil is going halfway across that sight glass, which is what you want. So I'm going to come back next and show you how we put the oil in. Okay guys, it's about done putting the oil in. The nice thing about these high performance oils is they come with a little spout that you can cut off. But anyway, you want to fill this thing to where it's just at the bottom down here. You don't want it coming all the way up into the threads. And so there is a high mark on your dipstick, which will show you in the instructions, but you don't want it down here. You want it kind of right up in there where it's showing, so that when I screw this in all the way to check the oil, and then I'll come back out, that's about where you want it, right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so it's all oiled up, ready to go. On to the next project, which is putting on the hose. Okay guys, the hose that comes with this 4 gallon per minute machine, if you elect to get the hose reel kit or the accessory kit or whatever, or just need a hose and order it with the machine, it comes from the supplier with this gray hose. I don't use it. It's a little bit heavier than the blue hose that I use on all my rigs. Coiled up, this one weighs about 18 pounds. This one weighs about 22, 23 pounds. And so I just like the lighter hose for cleaning. Just a lot less wear and tear on my body and less fatigue and that type of thing. This is a 1-wire hose, which is perfect. We sell these at DougRuckerStore.com. So if you wanted to get this with the machine, just let us know. And then we just wouldn't order. Either one you're gonna have to pay separately for. So I just like this hose. Lasts just as long as the heavier duty one. Maybe a little bit shorter, but I'm willing to trade off the less fatigue and less tiredness for a lighter weight hose when I'm dragging hose around a property. So what we're going to do is take this end, which has a swivel on it in the hose, and we're going to connect it to this part. We're going to loop it through that little hole and connect it to the swivel onto the hose swivel onto the reel. So, but first what I'm going to do is get this all strung out and perfectly straight and get that set up. Alright guys, if you've ever watched most of my videos, you know I have a video about these little blue bend restrictors that come on hoses. They're usually different color, like blue indicates that it's 1-wire hose. Red will indicate 2-wire hose. It just depends on the manufacturer you're getting them from, but that's usually kind of the industry standard. But they're called bend restrictors. I hate them with a passion and I always remove them. I cut a slit down them. It takes a little bit to do it without cutting into your hose, but I remove them. My problem is they'll get stuck. I can't shift it down there, but they get stuck like in this area. Very hard to remove, and if you get the slightest little water leak in there, that water leak just kind of, the water accumulates in here and it just rusts these fittings out. And they just kind of get in my way when I'm trying to roll hoses up. They're just a pain in the neck. I've never found a use for them. Lots of people say don't remove them. If you want to listen to that, that's fine with me. This is a personal preference thing. So if you want to keep them, keep them. Does not matter to me. I'm just telling you what I do. So I cut a slit down them and get them to the point where I can just pull them off and they're not on the hose anymore. But just be careful when you're cutting. You don't want to cut into your hose. So I kind of move it up and do all my cutting on this metal piece through the metal piece and just keep sliding it up, cut a little bit more, that type of thing. Okay guys, finishing up the hose reel install. And so I've taken the swivel end of the hose, which swivels, so that I can get it into the hose swivel here, and just taken my 3/4 inch wrench. I've Teflon taped the end of it, removed my bend restrictor, and tightening this down, put a little lock seal on it, and so the hose will be installed. And last thing we'll do is I put this handle on, with the hardware that is supplied with it. And I'm going to take, I've already tightened the two up, but I'm just going to take my little DeWalt battery screwdriver, hold it there, put my nut driver on the back side, and tighten it up. And so the handle's on, it's got a little swivel action to it, so it spins, that's normal. The other side of the hose reel, you have your brake. And so pull that out, put it like that, and then you can roll your hose reel up. And the one last thing I have to do is put my ball valve setup on here. So I'll come back and show you that in just a second. All right, the last thing I'll show you guys is setting up my ball valve setup. And so, hey, don't forget, guys, to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit that bell so that you get notifications when I come out with videos, and leave me a like or a comment, especially a comment or a question if there's anything I can help you guys with. So I'm putting on the plug on the end. As I mentioned before, plug points the way of the water for me. So this will go on the end. This is how I set my ball valve up. Some guys do it differently, but I like it this way because I can always take the ball valve off and take it to another gun if I need to. So get the hose fitting on there, and the next thing I'm going to do is set up the ball valve. I always like to have, since the water's pointing the flow of the water, I like to take the pointy end and have it where it's parallel and pointing the way of the water. So I'm going to take my plug fitting with a female pipe thread that's going to go in there. Get it taped up. Put a little dabble, do you, of the lock seal on there. Again, you don't have to put much, just a little dab will do you. And because once you start screwing it down, it's going to pretty much spread around. And so I'm taking my 11/16 wrench, open-ended wrench, to tighten it down. And then what I'm going to do is take it, flip it over, and put my swivel in. So I'll take and tape it up as well. Normally what I do, guys, when I'm taping up fittings like this is I'll do all my taping at one time. Just saves a little time instead of doing it individually. But for the video, I just want to make sure y'all see how I'm doing each individual piece. And so we'll screw that into there. And then I'm just going to take my adjustable wrench, tighten it down. Again, just making sure it's good and snug. It doesn't have to be, you know, tight. And so then I'll take this, drop it down, and put it on the hex ends here in the vise. And I'm going to thread my coupler. A little dabble, do you? Put it in there. Take my crescent wrench and get it tightened down. And then get my hose, and my ball valve is ready to go. I'm using the normal DN10 on this one. Simply for, this is going to be for my use. On our other trucks and trailers, we have the stainless steel. I only have 2 of these left. This is a different ball valve than this. This is completely stainless steel, and they've been flying off the shelf, so I didn't want to take one for me when customers can use these. Matter of fact, we only got 2 left, but we've got another shipment coming in first of the week. So that's why I didn't use that one, but normally I would because it's a great ball valve. Seems to be lasting much longer than these, but these are good too. They're easy to turn. These are easy to turn. Pretty much the same. So that's the ball valve setup. The only thing that's left to do with this machine is fire it up. Put some gas in it. I don't think I need to show you how to put gas in it, but that's all we have to do. And then we can fire it up. Everything's ready to go. So I'm going to come back with another video series on actually how to fire it up, how to run it, different nozzles, different guns, wands, things of that nature. Actually, even a surface cleaner that I recommend for it. It's sitting right over there. So Whisper Wash. So stay tuned for that. That'll come out in the next few days or maybe next Tuesday. But thank you guys so much for watching. Again, subscribe, hit the bell. Leave me a question or comment, and if I can help in any way, you can always reach me too at pressurecleaningschool@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all have an awesome day.